I have a double feature on two awesome flashlights. I'm doing this as a double feature in the same review because they're extremely similar. The only major difference is this one holds two CR123s. This is the Olight Maverick M18. Maxes out at 500 lumens as opposed to the single CR123 Maverick M10, which maxes out at 350. But the package, the accessories, you know, the UI, the whole thing is identical. So very minute differences. That's why they're in the same video. As far as price, and I'll talk to this later in the video, because having the opportunity to try both of these out, right off the bat, I'm going to say that I do prefer the M10. And there's a couple very minute reasons as to why. But I definitely would take the M10 over the M18. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But as far as prices, the M10 is running $54.95. These both came from goinggear.com. $54.95 on the M10 and $59.95 on the M18. So there's only a $5 price difference, and you figure, well, for $5 more, I'm going for 350 lumens to 500 lumens. But we're going to talk about that a little bit, and that's going to get into some of the specifications on runtime and output, and we'll talk about that in the review. So anyway, here they both are. I'm going to focus on one just for a second, just to show you basically how you get everything. Let me get that off camera. So you get it obviously in this box right here, and you know, for a lot of flashlights these days, everything you need to know is on the box. You don't need to even reference something like this, a review, to get all the specifications you want. If you just Google it, go to a website, it's all listed for you. There's a lot of details, a lot of specifics, which I'll go through in this video as well. But they're easily accessible. You can get them pretty much anywhere. But if you were to just say go into a storefront and pick this up off the shelf, Olight does a great job on their packaging, letting you know exactly what you want to know as a consumer, an educated consumer. Now, anyone can just grab a flashlight and go, yeah, this is gonna give me light, so that'll just be awesome for light. No, we're above and beyond that. We know it's a flashlight. We want to know, you know, how far does it throw? What's the, you know, different modes it has? How many lumens? All that kind of crap. So right off the bat, right on top, 500 lumens. Okay, our max output, that's what we want to know. How bright can it possibly get? Now we turn here, it shows the battery. In this case, the M18 takes two CR123As or one 18650. Now, I don't have a lot of hands-on experience with the 18650s, but trust me when I say that a lot of flashlight guys and gals out there, they do prefer them over the CR123s. I'm going to get into that in the future. Just having their chargeable 18650s, they seem to be less problematic, cheaper overall, the whole deal. That's for a future video, okay? And you will have the option of either or for a lot of today's tactical flashlights. So on the other side, we have applications, and they're showing a couple different suggestions for a good flashlight, like walking, military use, defense. Interesting, defense. How can I defend myself with a flashlight? It's not that big. It's not like my old mag light. I can whack them on the head. Well, according to the military, anything over 60 lumens is considered tactical because that is a blinding power. I don't know who came up with that, but someone made that the number. 60 lumens. If your flashlight is brighter than 60 lumens, you have a tactical flashlight and it is going to be very effective in defense. And trust me, anything over 60 lumens will be extremely effective in blinding someone. If they can't see you, they can't hurt you. Unless they have a gun they're randomly shooting, or a knife and they're very close and they're randomly swinging around. But at this point, you should know that any high-powered flashlight will actually be a very, very viable defense option. A non-lethal, very effective defense option at night. Even during the day, when you get into something like 500 lumens, it can still be very effective. And you know, in the middle of the day, on a sunny day, if I were to be 6-7 feet away from someone and put the sun strobe right in their face, they would be very disorientated. They wouldn't be able to see very well. So it is effective for defense. I know people laugh at that all the time, but it's true. It can be a good defensive option. Especially, you know, legality purposes. We can't have guns, can't have knives, can't have pepper spray. Unfortunately, there's a lot of countries out there you can't have anything, but you can have a flashlight. So if you can't have any of the other stuff, save your pennies, get yourself the best friggin' flashlight you can find on the market, the brightest and biggest, and rock that all day long. So anyway, and then the last one here, obviously for outdoor, you know, general purpose use. Now on the bottom, we have all of our little icons we like to see in all of our different flashlights, and a lot of companies do this now. On the left, again, max output, 500 lumens. Then we have the max distance, is they're suggesting 135 meters. The runtime for max is 120 hours. Of course, they'll always give you the best option. They're trying to sell it to you. It's a product, they're selling it to you. That's the purpose of all this stuff on here. It's not just for information. They want to say, hey, get me, I'm the good one. So yeah, 120 hours, but not on 500 lumens. We'll look at the chart there on the inside. That's going to be the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and the pudding is in this little piece of paper. So when you get your flashlights, you know, look at the piece of paper. Unlike knife paperwork, there's not a whole bunch to read, except for maybe warranty information and hey, don't cut yourself at sharp and keep it oiled. Flashlight paperwork is important because it does give you actual light box readouts, okay? They test these things and it gives you an actual graph that reads how bright it is for how long. And that's important to you because you want to know that kind of stuff. Because you're interested, right? That's why you're watching this video. Suggesting 2 meter drop is fine. You know, if you drop this any higher than 2 meters, you might have problems with, you know, circuits breaking and whatnot. And then, of course, it's also suggesting 2 meters water resistance, you could say. It's not waterproof. Very few flashlights out there that are truly waterproof, but a lot of them are water resistant in most situations. So, and of course, on the back, you can pause the video right there if you want to read all that kind of stuff. Basically talking about the newer Cree XM-L2. Very awesome. Okay, features. Utilizing the newest, there we go, on the new LED. Okay, dual switch enabled to directly access 3 modes. Yes, yes, yes. That is going to be the separate button on the front here. We'll talk about that, which by the way is glow in the dark. I'll give you a demo when I go outside. This is a glow in the dark button. So, I take my M10 here. Give that a second. And hopefully you see that. It is glow in the dark. So during the day, just having this out and about, it will charge that. However, most of us keep our flashlights in the pocket, so it's going to be in the dark, so it's not going to get charged. So that's kind of a neutral point. Very cool, but in reality, unless your flashlight is, you know, light is accessing that button, which it's not going to be in most cases. I don't know. It's a cool novelty thing that is glow in the dark, but practically, it's probably not going to be charged when you need it, and you can't use this flashlight to charge it. I suppose maybe if you push it up against a wall, it was you know, bright enough to charge. I don't know, but just something to note there. It's very cool, but probably not a functional thing, just a novelty. So anyway, yes, but I do like this. Just like one of my favorite EDC lights ever is the Claris, and there's a couple other Claris models. Actually, there's a AA model that I never reviewed, which I'm going to, I think, in the future. But having the separate button for modes, I really, really prefer. I like a tail clicky. I like having my switch back here, as opposed to, you know, a standard flashlight where you turn it on the side like an old mag light. I prefer this for this type of grip. You know, pull the flashlight out, you can use this grip. But the thing about it is that when you have all your modes in your tail switch, or when the head has to rotate, when you're rotating the bezel back and forth, that gets a little confusing sometimes. So I like the very straightforward approach to having a separate button dedicated for going through your modes. All right, so we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So let's see what else we got here. Focus. Okay, deep carry pocket clip, easy and reliable for use. Yes, yes, they both have pocket clips. I took them off. This is how they are clipped around this ring. So you can easily put them back on if you want. It is a nice deep pocket clip. I don't clip my flashlights to my pocket simply because I carry knives. And if you guys carry knives as well, you know you don't want a bunch of stuff clipped there. You just want your knife, that's it. Flashlights go in the pocket or in a pouch, some kind of sheath, or in a bag. But if you do decide you want to carry this, maybe on your left side, I know a lot of guys, they'll have a main knife on the right side, and on the left pocket, they will clip their flashlight. This is a very good setup that's actually, you know, a functional pocket clip. I've used flashlights before, big ones and small ones, and the pocket clip, I don't know what it's there for because it's barely holding it in your pocket, and I don't feel secure with it. This is a good clip design, all right? And it is easy to pop off. Basically, as I'm pulling on the clip, I just use my fingernail to kind of get under one of the sides here, and you can kind of pull that off. All right, so it's a little accessory. It comes, when you get the flashlight, I know it comes on there, but I pop them off because I don't clip into my pocket. All right. What else we have on here? Highly efficiency constant current drive circuit. Perfect support for CR123As, RCR123s, or 18650 batteries. And then low voltage indication. So, that's the packaging. The other accessories, which I don't think it said on the packaging, but we have an extra boot. Yeah, it's a boot, not for our feet. Okay. There we go. Well, we have our knives. It's an extra switch and a lanyard in here, and our O-rings. So both of these flashlights, the M18 Maverick and the M10, come with these same exact accessories. You have the lanyard, okay, which is like a camcorder style lanyard, and you do have a small hole, a lanyard hole. So you would just fish this through, and I'm not gonna bother to. Oh, there we go. I'll show you. Why not? It happened to have gone through on the first try here. Sometimes it could be. Oh no, it didn't. But if you want to throw your lanyard on here, just push that through here. Beep beep. My neighbor got home. And then fish the back through there and pull. Okay, so now you have a wrist lanyard. I don't use lanyards for flashlights or pocket clips. I think it's cumbersome. Of course, if that's something you want to do, you can certainly use it like that. I don't, so that's it. But you do have the option. It does come with one, which is nice. And I gotta get it off. Could edit this out, but I won't, because that's just how I roll. Don't worry, not gonna take that long. Okay, there we go. So I don't need our lanyard. We have our spare O-rings, okay? Pop this tail cap off so you can look inside here. This does come with a battery pack, okay? So, a lot of the newer flashlights, I'm always noticing this, particularly with Olight, is they're giving you a battery pack to have even a snugger fit with the CR123. So if you're using an 18650, you don't use this little insert they give you. But if you're using the CR123s, it eliminates the very little gap there already was. So there's no rattle whatsoever, which is actually a nice little touch, having this pack like this. Plus, if you were to keep spares, it'd be nice to, to get a spare one of these packs too, just for storage purposes. But take a look in there. Yep, nothing exciting. But these O-rings, they're gonna go on, of course, on our opening. There's one right here. If I move it a little bit, you can see that. And of course, they are rubber. They can deteriorate over time. You want to keep that seal. I'll take it off, you can see it there. So we have our spares. That's pretty standard. Of course, positive down. Make sure you put the batteries in the right way, especially with your lithiums. You don't want any problems or fire hazards. So the threading is great on these. I don't talk much about, or I don't focus on quality on flashlights much anymore. If you followed all my reviews, past flashlight reviews, from a couple years ago, I talk about the anodization, I talk about the bezel, I talk about, a reflector and the anti-glare, is it glass or plastic? I talk about, how fine the threading is, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter, because like 99% of these great flashlights from Phoenix and 4.7s and Olight and Surefire, they do it right. And it's become an industry standard to have all of these great features on flashlights. These are high quality flashlights. These are not dollar store flashlights. So I honestly don't spend the time to focus on that kind of stuff. But please know, most of the flashlights you see, not just for me, from any reviews, from those following companies, they're doing it right. They're using all these same features. They're using glass lenses, okay? They're using, in this case, crenulated bezels. They all serve a purpose. With a crenulated bezel, all that just basically means is wavy. Now, sometimes they're pitched to you as being a defensive thing. Yeah, of course, you put a little scalpels in here, they create some sharp corners, you can kind of jab someone in the eyeball with it, and it's gonna hurt extra, it's gonna be extra painful as opposed to flat. Well, I think the biggest purpose for these, and what I like about crenulated bezels, is that when you put it down, it shows light coming out of the side. So if you were to rest your flashlight down on a table while it's on, you can visually see that it is on, so you don't run your battery dead. That's what I like crenulated bezels for. Plus, they kind of look cool. So anyway, we got the spare O-rings, and we have our spare clicky switch. This is the boot, or basically just the cap to our switch. Because it is rubber, again, it can tear, it can rip. The one downside you're gonna hear from me, because I love both these flashlights, I love them. I think they're fantastic EDC options. I've said it before, you didn't have to wait for the review. I know one particular person said, well, I couldn't wait any longer, I bought it, hope I like it. You're gonna like it. But the biggest downside to these flashlights is that you have this exposed tail clicky. The positive to this is it's very easy to get to. Okay, you grab the flashlight, it's there. Okay, boom, boom, boom. The problem I have with it is that this will not stand on end. Okay, even when it's on, it won't stand because we have the rubber boot that's exposed, as opposed to some flashlights where this is recessed down and flush with the body of the flashlight, so it can basically tail stand. Okay, I don't like this. I like the option when a flashlight can stand up like this, so you can rest it on a table to illuminate a room. Particularly in an emergency situation, you have a high-powered pocket flashlight, you can turn it on and place it in what I consider a candlelight mode. I got that term from Maglite. The AAA Maglights, you can do this and put it on the table so that it'll illuminate, it'll shine on the ceiling, but the spill will illuminate the entire room. With a flashlight with 500 lumens capability here, if this were to tail stand like this, you could put it in your living room and light up the whole friggin' house. And you have adequate light for a real emergency situation, but you can't do it with this flashlight. That to me is a pretty big downside. For an EDC light, I still think it is fantastic, but that is one thing I would like to see if they were to change this design, is have your clicky switch flush mounted with the frame here, or the body. Okay, that's the only downside I could say about this. But because it is so exposed and it's not really protected, they did give you an extra boot in case it, you know, happens to rip. If it catches on something and tears off, you have a spare here. Sometimes these are pretty standard size. You can go on places like Deal Extreme and different Chinese websites and stuff, or even eBay, and you can find different color boots. You can get ones in orange, so it's very visually a quick visual thing. I know where I was going with that. Visually, I don't know. But it's easier to see. In other words, you have that international orange, so if you need to get your flashlight, even in dim situations, you can easily find where your button is, okay, as opposed to grabbing it like this and go, I want to turn on. So the orange ones are cool, and they also have glow-in-the-dark ones. And this is a standard size. I do not remember how many millimeters, but I promise it's standard. So if you happen to pop on eBay, you can get different colors for your button. If you want to customize them, or, you know, pimping your flashlights, you can do that. So that's the accessories. Let's look at our paperwork here for a second. Okay, M18 Maverick user guide. Of course, I'm going to show you how to put your batteries in. I'm going to read the English side here. That's what I know how to read. Okay, on top shows your accessories. Make sure you got everything in your package. Okay, talks about the pocket clip a little bit. There's how you put your batteries in. Okay, obviously, again, if you're using the 18650s, do not obviously use the little holder. Okay, so then we have our UI, or user interface. This basically shows you the modes and how to get to them. I'll show you in person because it's easier to see it done as opposed to reading that. But this is what's important. This is what I want you guys to look at. When you get your flashlights, doesn't matter what brand, what model, anything. You get a cool flashlight in the mail, don't throw this stuff out. Look at the chart. The chart is going to give you the exact output and runtime. All right, this is important. Now, this is a 500 lumen light. But what people expect out of that is when they turn it on, they expect it to be 500 lumens until the battery is dead. And that is just not the case. Okay, it's quite rare that a flashlight does that. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, when you get a flashlight, you know, of course, the highest output is going to be the pitch. 500 lumens. Wow, 500 lumens. It's amazing, and it is. It's super bright. Okay, but it does not stay that bright that long. No flashlight, you know, this one, 350 lumens. It doesn't stay 350 lumens the entire duration of the battery life. It will slowly dim. So these charts will tell you exactly how much and when. So you're seeing the chart up here is lumens in increments of 100, and on the right here we have, let's see, 1/6 and a half. These are all per hour. Okay, so 1/6 of an hour, a half of an hour, and so forth. Now you can see we have 500 lumens. Sorry, I'm looking at this as opposed to the viewfinder. Make sure you guys can see this. We're at 500 lumens for, I don't know, roughly the first 10-15 minutes, maybe. And then it drops down to about 300 lumens. And it rides out at 300 lumens for the duration of the battery life. And then of course, as the battery starts really dying, it drops back down again dramatically. All right, so runtime on this is looking at about 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours on two fresh CR123s, but it's not 500 lumens for 2 hours. The majority of the time, it's going to be at 300 lumens. All right, that's an important key. That's important to know. If you didn't watch this video and you didn't know that at all, you would just assume it's 500 lumens every single time you turn it on. And when the battery's dead, it's dead. And you know what? If that's all you knew, no big deal. But this is just to educate you. This is how this stuff works. All of your flashlights work the exact same way. Whatever they're advertised to be, you know, in max, they're only in that lumen output for a very short period of time. Then it drops down, it steadies out to something, and then of course when the battery starts dying, it takes a crap on you. Okay? So anyway, I'm gonna focus a little bit on the M10 because I do prefer the M10 over the M18. Why? You're gonna see this when I do my demonstration at night. 500 lumens here, 350 lumens here. Visually, when they're next to each other, it doesn't look that different. You can tell this is brighter, but not that much brighter. I do prefer the smaller size being an EDC light. This is not a big deal to carry in the pocket. This is still a better option. Now, when I was outside, if I saw a huge difference in brightness, I would pick this one over this one. It's only a $5 price difference, okay? $5 more here, but it's bigger. And I didn't really see visually, you know, a huge difference. Yeah, it's a little bit brighter, but I'd rather stay on the smaller size here and the fact that I'm using one cell. CR123s I'm fine with, but you start getting into problems when you're using multiple cells. If you, you know, big no-nos, do not use a brand new cell and a dead cell, okay? They're gonna transfer energy back and forth to each other. They're, you know, very possible they're gonna overheat. They could vent with flame. They could explode. They could leak. Dangerous stuff, okay? So if I'm using CR123s, I really do try to stick with a single cell unless there's a huge advantage. Between these two, I don't see the huge advantage. That's just me. That's why I prefer the M10. It's a smaller package, but it's putting out almost as much light visually to me. Let's look at the chart on that for a second, and then I'll go through the modes with you. But again, same accessories. Pocket clip is slightly smaller just because the whole thing is smaller overall. So here's the differences in sizes. And of course the same two O-rings and the lanyard in the boot. A DOS boot. I'm not going to go over these things. You guys can pause for a second if you want to see that information. Again, single cell battery, same uses. And there's your features if you want to pause. Right there, okay? Here's what I want, our chart. Okay? Average person before you saw this video, you said, wow, 350 lumens, that's great. What's the runtime? Oh, that's great, 350 lumens all that time. Ain't wrong. Let's see what it really is. It is 350 lumens for the first, again, 10-15 minutes maybe. Then it stays steady at about 250 lumens, which, let me tell you something, is extremely bright, okay? And most of you out there, you can't tell the difference between 375 lumens and 310 lumens, or say 200 lumens and 500 lumens. You have to really use a wide variety of flashlights very consistently to be able to pick up on that stuff. A lot of the Canon Powerforms guys, I mean, people who this is their main hobby and this is all they do day in and day out, they can tell you the difference, you know, probably within 10 or 15 lumens. But for most of us, it's bright and brighter. Okay, that's the extent of our knowledge as to how much lumens is coming out of this thing. The only reason we know how many lumens are in our flashlight is because we read it on our package. But again, this is the misdirection in just marketing in general. Not to say Olight's some horrible company because they do this. Every single company does this. They want to sell their product. These are facts. It's just they're omitting certain parts of those facts. Okay, so for this Maverick M10, they're saying 350 lumens, and that is absolutely right. They're also saying the runtime is 108 hours, which is 100% true. But you make this correlation, wow, 108 hours on 350 lumens, that's amazing. No, that's not what we're getting. So this is where you have to educate yourself. And hopefully this video helped you do that. So let's look at the real runtime again. We're averaging out at about 250 lumens for the majority of our battery life. Okay? It's still really bright, and it's still an amazing flashlight. And both of these flashlights have a great spill. You're gonna see this when I do the demo. But basically for modes, turn on, you know, like most tail clicky flashlights, you just press it in slightly for momentary on. When you let go, it shuts off. Okay, just want to use it just for a brief second or two. Of course, you can hold this as long as you want, but when you let go, it's going to shut off. Or you click it for a constant on. Now you can, of course, leave it somewhere, leave it on. You can use the lanyard to hang it if you want to use it in a 10 or something. But as far as the modes, once it's on, we're going to use our separate button on the front here, which again, glow in dark. Oh, shut that off. Yeah, it's very cool. See? Little S. Okay, so we turn our flashlight on, and then we want to get out of here. Paper, heat stuff in the background. Over there. Okay. So right now we're in our high mode, which is what I keep it on always. But when we click our button on the front here, it's going to cycle from our low to our medium to our high. Now, if you were to use momentary on 3 times, it goes into strobe. So 1, 2, 3. And then of course you can keep it in momentary and let go when you're done, or 1, 2, 3, and click it for a constant on for strobe. Now, if you're really considering having a flashlight for defensive purposes, consider strobe, consider how hard it is to get to strobe. Okay, some flashlights it's very difficult to get to the strobe mode. If you're using this for defense, you want to be in strobe mode. It's what's going to be most disorientating for that attacker. But you don't want to fiddle with your flashlight. And of course, when you freeze up in the moment where you're going to be attacked, you have to use your flashlight to try to blind this person. You're not going to remember, wait a minute, I got to twist the head a little bit here, and I got to shake it and say my ABCs and push this button and then twist that. Now, you're not going to remember all that crap. So I like that it is a fairly straightforward UI for strobe. Just, you know, take it out of your pocket. Oh my God, the guy's coming. 1, 2, 3. Click it, keep it on, point at the guy's face. He doesn't know where you are. Kick him in the balls, run away. Okay? Yes, there's no shame in kicking someone straight in the balls as hard as you can. All right, they can make fun of all you want later, but you'll be safe and sound and have, you know, your body that's not bleeding. So, no shame in that. And one thing I can tell you, completely unrelated to this, if you have to defend yourself, there's no such thing as a fair fight. You fight as dirty as you possibly can. If you have to bite their nose off, pull a Tyson, take a little earlobe with you, whatever you got to do it and get out of there. All right? There's no rules for street fighting, especially when you're defending your life. Back to the flashlight review. So I like the light. I really, really like the light. Let's take a look at the business end here for a second. And I mentioned you're going to see this outside. It is all spill. There's no like straight beam on this. It's a wall of light. Now I was a little surprised by that because you can see the smooth reflector in there. All right, here's the M18. Now a lot of the other flashlights that they have very heavily orange peeled or heavy stippling on their reflectors. And that's what helps dissipate that light so you have a nice even beam. These have smooth reflectors, so you're getting as much throw as you possibly can, but you don't see any artifacts. And it's not a like a searchlight style light. It's not this focus beam that's real tight and, you know, close in, that's traveling very far. It spreads out. You're going to see this when I do the demo in a second, but I really, really like it. For an EDC light, I do focus on that, as much spill as possible. I want a full wall of light. You know, I want to have the different modes. If I'm in the car, again, reading something, I think that example is used a lot. If you're in your car reading a map, we don't do that often. But I can tell you if you're inside, and I have done this personally, I grab my flashlight when the power went out, so I'm sitting in my living room, whatever, watching TV, and I always have a flashlight handy. I have a flashlight in every single room. So I grab my flashlight and I have to go over the electrical panel. Well, maybe I don't want 350 lumens blinding back off my white wall into my face so I can't see anything. So that's when the other modes are very, very handy. There's a lot of times where you actually have too much light, and in today's day and age with all these crazy flashlights and, you know, this high lumen output, it's too much light for every situation. Sometimes you only need a little bit of light, and sometimes you need a lot of light, right? And sometimes there's a guy attacking you. So great light to have. It's really, really cool. I am a huge fan of these. I want to say I like this more than my Claris. I know, it's sad. I'm upping my flashlight capability a little bit here. About the same size. Maybe I'll do a comparison in the future, between those two lights and pros and cons and stuff. But for now, I could say this is a huge you know, advantage over a lot of different flashlights out there, and has everything that I personally want in an EDC light. So I'm very happy with it. Again, another good option, but overall, I would pick the M10. And to recap, smaller size, single cell, 123, and you're saving $5 on the price anyway. But all right, guys, want to give you some beam shots here outside. Quick note: these random little dots of light are those like garden lights or patio lights, the things you line your driveway with. They're solar panel lights, and I'm creating a path, and only about half of them are lit right now because it's been raining all day, so they didn't really get charged by the sun. It's kind of overcast, but that's what those are, and you'll see them when I shine the light on them anyway. So I have the Maverick M10 and M18. Now the M10 pumping out 350 lumens, and the M18 pumping 500. All right, the first thing, here's the M10. Okay, just gonna keep it constant on. Now we're looking over in the front yard here, and if I zoom, actually let me do this a little bit. If I zoom in the camera, you can see where the bench is, and that bench right now is, I would say, roughly 50 feet, 60 feet. Okay, turn the light, shines on it very nicely. If I pan across and zoom out. The one thing I noticed with both of these lights is that it's a complete wall. It's all spill, which is awesome for an area light. You know, going outside, if you're walking from your, you know, car to your front door, or if you live in a city, you're walking through a parking garage or something, and it really is very dark, this is a great thing to have on you. And even in a defensive situation where maybe someone who's kind of sketchy is getting a little bit close, they're following you to your car, you know, you blast this light on, they're not going to see anything. It's going to be a complete wall light. But 350 lumens, it's plenty of light. I mean, it's complete spill. You can't see it, but to the human eye, I mean, my whole front yard is lit up. I can easily do whatever I need to out here. Plenty of light. As compared to the M18, here's 500 lumens. Now, I can tell you visually, in person, it doesn't look, I mean, you can tell it's brighter, but it's not like, oh my god, this is insanely bright, and the other one's just kind of bright. I mean, really, you'd think for another 150 lumens that it would be that much noticeable, but I mean, I don't see that much difference. I mean, it is brighter, but not, it doesn't seem like 150 lumens brighter. Alright, so let me give you a quick, I'm going to shut this one off and turn the other one back on to give you a comparison, so hopefully you can see the difference that way. Turn this a little bit. There's the car, by the way. It's just black anyway, you can't see crap. And there's a Corvette over there, which is not mine. My friend's anniversary series Vet, which they're selling, in case you want a Vet, 10 grand. But I just want to give you some shots up in the trees here. Again, this is the M10. Way to those treetops. I mean, it's lighting the treetops up completely across. I would say easily 30, 40 feet across. And those are, they got to be at least 50 feet tall, at least. You know, to the very peaks of them. So this does throw light. Quite a bit of light. Alright, put the camera down for a second. Also, let me turn on the one, because I want to charge something. Actually, see if I can do this in front of you so you can see. I'm using the M18 to charge the button on the M10. Okay, this is our selection switch. Turn the light on. You can still see that lit over here. It's a glow-in-the-dark button. This is what we're going to use to cycle through our modes. So you can see it there. Now my finger's on it so it disappears. And I could cycle through low, medium, and then our high. So very cool. Love these lights. The biggest point for these you know, these beam shots at night here is just to show you that it is complete spill. There's no artifacts, there's no shadows, any dark spots anywhere. It's just a wall of light. And the other thing, the other major point I wanted to point out here is the difference between the 350 lumen one and the 500 lumen one is not all that different. Again, the M10 and the M18. So it's more, but I don't think you'll really miss it if you do want to go for the smaller size and the single cell on the M10. Might be more favorable for some people. So that's it, just some beam shots for you. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Take care.